Pimps, what's happening? Fish in the field coming in hot from his thermally shielded 4x4 bug out van. Pretty suiting place to do the tier 3 video, right guys? We're talking tier 3, $10,000 survival and prepping spending. We did tier 1, we did tier 2, this is tier 3, and we're going to do tier 4 later. But here's the thing, guys. I do not want you to get wrapped up on the actual dollar amount. We were pretty stiff on the dollar amount in the first video, and then it got a little looser, and it's going to get even looser now. What this video is really here for is for you to take a really good look at your situation and decide where the next bit of your survival and prepping budget needs to go. Because there is no cookie cutter approach to shit hit the fan, guys. I could come up with a list, literally, for like, here's what you need for tier 1, buy all this shit. Here's what you need for tier 2, buy all this shit. Here's what you need for tier 3, buy all this shit. But it's not going to help everybody equally, guys. That would mean I'm making a ton of assumptions about who you are, the skills you possess, your abilities, where you live, what kind of game you're going to have to hunt, what you already own. And what's the saying about assumptions? It makes an ass out of you and me, and I don't want to do that. So the thing is you really have to look at your own situation. And you need to be real with yourself about your own abilities. I'm going to use veterans as an example because I am one, so I can bag on them a little bit, dudes. And, you know, I know y'all got tough skin, so don't get your panties in a bunch. But a lot of veterans out there, they're just like, oh, I'm going to run to the woods and live on venison for the rest of my life, man, because I was a veteran. And they've never even gone deer hunting. All they did was requalify on their M16 way back in the day, like once a year, and they think they're going to run to the woods and live on venison. I got a reality check for y'all that think that way. That is not how it's going to go, man. It is not going to go that way. You better get your ass out there for this hunting season and put a deer down and butcher it yourself and do all that shit. Start practicing those skills now. So you need to be realistic with yourself. If you haven't done that, well, now that we're in tier 3 spending, maybe that's something you want to get done. Maybe you need to take a hunter safety course. You need to buy yourself the super sports pack freaking hunting thing so you can go out and try and whack a bear and a cougar and get some deer, elk, the whole 9 yards. So that's something to think about. Let's get back on track here though, pimps, but I want you guys to be thinking about your own situation, okay? Let's do quick recaps. Tier 1 is like bare minimalist tools. What did this guy buy with $100? Well, I bought some dedicated cutting tools for processing meat mostly, but also some tools that can do some light bushcraft tasks. And I focused on combustion because those are the 2 biggest of the 5 C's of survival to me. And what are the 5 C's again, real quick, dudes? We have cutting, combustion, cordage, containers, and cover. Okay, but I covered those things with my $100, cutting and combustion. We got into tier 2. $1,000 worth of spending. I got more into cutting and combustion because you want redundancy items, especially in those 2 areas. And you want to be able to fell small trees, limb them, be efficient when it comes to processing wood because your central heat's gone, right, pimps? You're going to have to do it all yourself. We also got into cover a lot, going over everything from sleeping bags to overhead cover to the clothing that you're going to be wearing. Boots, containers, we talked about that. We also talked about cordage. So we covered all of the 5 C's at that point in time. We also got into having an external frame pack because at these 2 lower levels, when it comes to survival, because you're really a survivalist in here, you're not really a prepper, guys. You're one of those people that's living in a place where you're going to have to bail and you're going to have to get the hell out of Dodge because it's going to get violent and gnarly and things are going to be getting set on fire. There'll be no firefighters to put them out. You're going to want to leave, you know? And so this is like the bare minimum to get you through that kind of shit. Tier 3, now we're getting more into the prepping portion of it. But you have to think about this to yourself. This is something that we want to do. We want to kind of separate us into 2 groups here before we decide where we should spend this 10 grand. One of these groups is going to be somebody that still has more of a survival mindset. The other group is someone who's moving into prepping, meaning that you are either going to be sheltering in place, staying where you're at, trying to store up food and water and trying to ride it out, or you have a place that's not too far away that you're going to go to and ride it out there. Survivalists have no place to go to write it out. And the place that they live in right now is not suitable to do that. So they're going to be hitting the road. Well, this very van I'm sitting in right now might be the kind of thing you want to spend these ducats on when it comes to tier 3. It's totally enclosed vehicle. It's insulated. It's got a nice mattress in the back, plenty of storage, plenty of gas to get me way out in the boonies. It's going to easily get me to my bug out spot. I keep it nice and gassed up and charged up and ready to go. And this thing can be had definitely within this budget when it comes to spending. If you're looking at rigs, guys, you want a rig that's not going to attract a lot of attention. This one kind of attracts some attention, but here's the thing. Between me and my bug out spot, there's nobody. There is absolutely nobody. And I have a number of bug out spots, but only a few of them would I have to drive past a ranch or maybe a dozen homes to get there. So I'm not really too worried about it. But if you live in a big city or something like that, you want to be hauling ass out of town in some big ass lifted truck with some shiny purple green metallic paint, hauling some big ass travel trailer with like a freaking camper shell in the back all loaded with bins in the windows. You don't want to do that. It's going to make you a target. And let me throw this out there for those of you thinking about vehicles. White vehicles are the most common vehicle out there by far. So they don't draw much attention. So you might want to go with a white vehicle. Don't make it look too spiffy. Just make sure, like if it's a 4x4 truck, that you got some decent tires on it, got a little bull bar in the front, and maybe a couple of lights that aren't too flashy, like some extra LEDs up on the bull bar. Camper shell in the back. Put some blackout windows in the camper shell so people can't look inside and see what you got in there. Pack the back of that damn thing with bins and your 4-season tent and everything else you're going to need. More in the survival category here. Pimps, I want you to think about this. Your bug out camp, you do not want to be going bare minimum. You don't. Because it's going to suck, man. What you want to do is you want to have a camp set up when you get where you're going that is fairly luxurious. That's really what you want, guys, because it's going to be comfortable. And if you're not comfortable and you're wet and you're freezing balls ass cold, you're going to sleep like shit. Morale's going to go down the toilet. You're going to make bad decisions and you're going to get hurt. And you don't want that to happen. So here's how I want you to think about bugging out in Shit Hit the Fan. What you want it to be like. Pretend you're going to go on the most epic hunt up in Northern Territories that you've ever been on. It's going to be 6 weeks long. You guys are bringing minimal dried goods and canned goods, but you're going to get out there and you're going to hunt waterfowl, elk, deer, moose, black bear, and you're just going to be cooking meat every night, man, living like a freaking king back in the day. I want you to think about it like that. So if you were going to go do this 6-week-long hunting trip, how would you want to be equipped for that? Well, you're going to want a 4-season tent. You're going to want a wood stove in it. You're going to want a cot to keep your ass off the ground. You're going to want some nice cookware, nice cast iron shit, stuff you can use on a fire that's not going to crack and break. Because, dude, cast iron can do up to 900 degrees Fahrenheit. But a lot of other cookware doesn't do as good on a fire. It ends up burning out the bottom and shit like that, all right? So cast iron is great if you're going to be cooking on fire for a really long-ass time. Firearms for the bug-out people. What are you going to be hunting? What's out there? You're going to have to think about it. You know better than I do where your bug-out spot is. So are you going to be going after big game hard in the opening days of SHTF? How far is the average shot you have to take right now in a hunting season? Because you need to take that distance and add 50%. Because of game pressure, it's going to be really, really bad and Shit Hit the Fan. So let's say right now 300 yards is the average shot. You need to be prepared to make the shot at 450 yards. So make sure you have the right tools to get that done. If we're looking at modern rifles, let's say like a Remington 700 in 308. We'll just use that as an example. Good, solid bolt action rifle. You just can't go wrong with the Remington 700s, guys. You're going to get an optic, slap one of those on that baby, and purchase ammunition. I mean, you're looking at $1,500 in by the time it's all said and done. Do you live in a place where bugging out, you're going to run into a whole bunch of people you're going to have to deal with? It's going to be really violent. If so, you're probably going to want to purchase some kind of AR-15 equivalent, either an AR-15 or like a Ruger Mini 14, something like that. And by the time you get a decent rifle, you buy your mags, you buy your chest rig, and you know what? You might as well just buy a plate carrier, pimps, because you're going to be dealing with violent people, and you already know this. So just get a plate carrier, They can be had with plates for under $200 if you're smart about it. Your ammunition, your optic, all that, again, you're looking at least $1,500 in on an AR setup. Do you have a shotgun? Everybody should have a shotgun, guys. I know there's a lot of popular gun tubers out there that bag on shotguns, and I'm going to tell you why they do it. You want to know why they do it? Listen real closely. Because they don't know shit about shotguns. They don't know shit about them. They haven't hunted with them regularly. They haven't lived like I have in a situation where you better go out there and put meat on the freaking table if you want your kids to eat. All right? And I've done that shit, and a shotgun is the most versatile tool in the world when it comes to going out and killing whatever you can find. Really. I can go out with a whole bunch of varied loads of shot and slugs, and in one day can go out and kill doves, shooting them out of the air. I can kill running rabbits on the ground. I can shoot deer with either buckshot or slugs, and I can do it out of a cylinder bore barrel. I don't need to have a rifled barrel to do it. I can shoot geese and ducks coming in to land on a lake. I can do all kinds of shit with it, guys. Super, super versatile, and they're not expensive, especially pump shotguns. You can get one from a reputable company like Remington or Mossberg for right around $300 on sale. And then what you do is you go buy yourself 250 rounds of a variety of different kinds of loads that are going to help you take the game in your area that you're most likely to be hunting. Bam! You're in a way better spot than you were yesterday. Everybody should have a handgun, pimps. Everybody. So if you don't have one and you didn't buy one in like tier 2 or whatever, go out and get one. The first kind of handgun you really want to purchase depends on where you live. And I'm going to tell you guys that if you live at a place where you're likely to run into people, there's going to be this initial chaos window and shit hit the fan. So you want to have something that you can conceal. So you're looking at a compact handgun. There's a ton of quality options out there. The Glocks are great. I don't really like them because I don't like the way they feel in my hand, guys, but they're great. They're super reliable. I can't say anything bad about them in that way. And they're also fairly affordable. So generally you're looking at like $500, $550 for a brand new one. A Glock 19 is going to do it for most people. Buy some additional magazines, some extra mag pouches, purchase some ammunition. By the time it's all said and done, you're probably in it like $800, $900. Now, if you live out in the country, a revolver might make more sense for you. I'm actually wearing one of my hand cannons today. This is my 6.86 Plus in 357 mag. And there's some additional versatility to revolvers that you don't get in semi-automatics. All right, guys. Are they ideal for self-defense situations? No, they're not. You're going to be better off with a semi-automatic there. I'm just going to say it. But I am going to do videos down the road kind of breaking up the differences and helping people that live like more of a country lifestyle to take more advantage of their revolvers. All right, so make sure you subscribe. You're not going to want to miss it. But a revolver is also very simple. So for some people that aren't familiar with guns or have never bought a gun at all, a revolver is not a bad way to go because once you figure out how to load it, all you're doing is pulling the trigger or cocking the hammer back and pulling the trigger to make it go bang. They're just very simple mechanisms. Revolvers, though, tend to be a little bit more pricey these days. For a new revolver from a quality company like Smith & Wesson, you're generally looking at $750 and up for a brand new one with the lock on the side, the Hillary hole, I guess it's called, which kind of makes sense. But I don't like those ones. I won't buy one with the Hillary hole on it. I only buy the older ones. And so now you're looking at spending even more money, guys. So you can easily spend over $1,000 on a single revolver. Just being budget minded, you're probably better off going with an affordable semi-automatic with a great reputation for reliability. When looking at firearms options, guys, cartridges, it's always better to kind of lean towards the common stuff. So when it comes to rifle cartridges, what we're generally looking at is 5.56, which is 223, 7.62 by 39, 30-30 Winchester, 308 Winchester, and 30-06 Springfield. When it comes to handgun cartridges, the 5 most popular ones are going to be 9mm, 45 ACP, 40 cal, 357 mag, and 38 special. 22 long rifle is also out there a ton, guys, so don't overlook that one. And then 12 gauge when it comes to shotguns. 12 gauge is just the most prolific. We'll just say it that way. This guy actually really loves 20 gauge. I shoot both of them. but you're going to have an easier time scrounging up 12 gauge if you had to in SHTF. For survivalists, again here, this is kind of a place where you want to start looking at the rest of your kit. You go back down to your tier 1 spending items, your tier 2 spending items, and you go, man, do I want to buy some higher quality knives? And it matters when it comes to pretty much everything, guys. So you might look at some of your other kit, go through it and be like, yeah, you know what? I want some better knives. I want a better external frame pack. I want a better sleep system. Or I'm going to go ahead and double up on this. Or I'm going to go ahead and purchase that wool blanket that E and the F suggests that I buy. You know what I'm saying, guys? Or look at your cover. Look at your clothes from tier 2. Go back and look at it and go, you know, I don't have like a dedicated Bugout jacket that's really going to last me a long time and keep me warm and shit hit the fan. Like, I need to purchase one of those. And let me throw this out there for you guys. Buttons are always better than zippers. They're always better than zippers across the board, pimps. Zippers wear out. You know, they get off the track and then they're all dicked up and all that kinds of shit. So buttons, it's not hard to carve a new one out of wood if you need to and replace one that you popped off your jacket. A lot of people with families, a lot of survivalists with families here in tier 3 need to flesh the family out too, man. You're going to have to get additional packs, all the additional gear, the additional sleep systems, all that stuff to make sure that everybody is set up to ruck it out on their own if they have to. A small portable solar setup is another good thing for survivalists to have, because here's the thing, dudes. You want to be out there monitoring the radio channels, the airwaves. You know what I'm saying? You want to pay attention. You want to be able to run some LED lights if you have to, or charge up some flashlights, or charge up whatever else it's going to be. Remember, you're shooting for like this pimp-ass glamping camp setup. That's what you want to be rocking. And solar can definitely make it more comfortable, dudes. You always have to think about operational security. You always have to think about that. But remember, this is going to go from total chaos to a point where things begin to settle down. And people start to talk to one another again, and communities start to, you know, do their thing again and all that. So it's not going to be a nightmare like forever, guys. We're going to see better times ahead. Make sure you bring some heirloom seed packs with you if you're bugging out. Like, everybody should have these. Matter of fact, someone commented on either my tier 1 or my tier 2 video and was like, an heirloom seed pack. And I was like, damn, I forgot to mention that, because honestly, guys, I really would have purchased this in tier 2. I keep an heirloom seed pack in my Bugout bag all the time. And I've been doing it for at least 10 years. Because when you get where you're going, man, you're going to want to have that option, you know, to grow some shit. And guys, make sure you grow shit now. You need to grow shit now. Do not, like, try your hand at the green thumb once you've bugged out. You need to grow shit now. And that's going to get us right into the prepper spending things. Because preppers, what they really want to do, and what's the difference really, right? They're going to hunker down where they're at. They want to be looking at infrastructure at this point in time. They probably have a suitable vehicle for bugging out. They already covered tier 1, tier 2 things. Now it's time to take a good look at your infrastructure. Do you have enough water storage? Let's start there, because water is tops. It's tops, pimps. If you don't have water, you're screwed. It doesn't matter how cool your Bugout spot is. It doesn't matter how many fighting positions you got with freaking sandbags and all the shit and overhead cover and all that. It doesn't matter. If you don't have water, you're moving. You're going to leave. So how much water storage do you have? Do you have enough to get yourself through? Do you have enough gallons of water per person to make it through 2 years of shit hit the fan? Have you practiced conserving water? Because you should try it sometime if you haven't done it. Large potable water tanks are generally going to run you about $1 a gallon these days. So it's a real deal, guys. Think about it. If you go run to Walmart and you purchase water in the 1 gallon containers, what are you paying for it? You're paying like $1 a gallon. Why not just buy a big ass potable water tank, hide it behind some fences or your shed in your backyard, and fill the damn thing with the garden hose? Food. What do your food stores look like? Because as a prepper, you really want to have 2 years worth of food saved up. I've been selling this since I started this channel, that everyone should be prepping right now because the food's just going to cost you more down the road. Well, you know who sells it better than me? The federal government. That's right. Look at their response to Hurricane Helene. Oh, sorry, we don't have the money. We spent it on illegals. Oh, sorry, we don't have the budget. Now it's like, oh, sorry, we got a whole bunch of money that's just missing. We don't even know where the fuck it went. Oh, sorry, we gave a whole bunch of money to Ukraine, $8 billion more, $156 million to Lebanon. Like, think about it. Who's funding these wars? We're giving Israel bombs to drop on Lebanon, and we're funding Lebanon at the same time. Like, holy shit, guys. I'm getting off topic. Let's get back on topic, guys. Food. You want 2 years worth of food stored up. And here's my theory on this. The first year is going to be a big reality check, nut check. And it's going to be really hard times. But the second year, things are going to begin to recover. And by the time you've done 2 years worth of shit hit the fan and your food is running out, you're going to know where to go from there. You are, because I have done it hard out off grid. And I will tell you that the learning curve is this steep. Boy, do you learn a lot very, very fast. Firearms, again, for prepping groups. You're looking at holding what you got. What's it going to take to get that done? I mean, there is the possibility of bugging out, but you want to avoid that. You really want to avoid bugging out at all costs, guys. So what's it going to take to make sure that your group can hold what you got? You might need to double up on some of your ARs. You might want to make the investment into a dedicated marksman rifle. Might want to drop some ducats on a long-range hunting rifle. That might really let you capitalize depending on where you live. A lot of people just have one shotgun, but is one shotgun going to be enough for a group of people to put enough meat on the table regularly? I mean, it depends on how many people you got in that group, guys, but guns can go down too, so it's always good to have more than one shotgun laying around. I've got enough shotguns in the house to equip every member of the family. That's how we're rocking it. Communications. This might be something else you want to get into. Do you have any CB radios? You know, I've got some CB radios. There's some very affordable options out there. These guys, you can really get this done for, you know, under $150 to have like a couple of handhelds with upgraded antennas like Baofangs. Sandbags for preppers. A lot of them aren't thinking about this, but sandbags actually filled with sand are great bullet stoppers. And if you're trying to hold what you got, man, you want to be stacking these things beneath the windows in your home that you're likely to use as shooting positions. Are you growing your own food yet? If you aren't, then you want to spend some of this money and you want to start doing it right away. Now, depending on where you live, you might need a greenhouse. You might not. There's another option, a Wallapedi. Actually, one of my patrons, Rick, he's building a Wallapedi right now. He's almost got it done. It looks pretty damn good. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's basically a greenhouse that's partially buried in the ground. And so the temperature of the ground keeps the temperature up during the wintertime inside the Wallapedi. Here's where I would say getting into livestock makes sense for a lot of people. And I know a lot of people go straight to cows. They're like, oh yeah, cows, 10 grand? I'm going to go buy some cows. Cows are expensive as shit right now, dudes. And there's better options out there, in my personal opinion. I know some of my patrons right now are like, he's going to start talking about goats. Yes, I am. But I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Goats are extremely hardy. They're extremely affordable if you buy half breeds, like half dairy goat, half something else. Doesn't really matter. You can milk them, you can eat them, and you can make cheese with them. And you can look around the world. There are people that live in extremely harsh places, and they literally live off of their goats. They live off their damn goats, guys. So, I mean, that sells it right there. They don't eat nearly as much as cows, and they're easy to handle. You can also teach them how to pack. Just don't get an asshole billy goat because they can make it less fun. You can also get into smaller livestock at this point in time. Matter of fact, chickens, you could even really get into chickens in tier 2 if you wanted to, but you kind of want to have that prepper mindset if that's the case. But yeah, chickens aren't hard to get into. If you are in a spot where they can free range, it really cuts down on feed costs, which is really nice. That's what we do out here. You have to think about like this, though, for chickens. What you're going to be getting out of them is eggs, really. Most chickens just don't grow very rapidly, so the meat is not really why you're raising them. You're raising them mostly for the eggs, so keep that in mind. Rabbits is definitely tier 3 when you get into it because the cages are expensive. It just would take too big of a hit, I think, at tier 2 to get into rabbits. So rabbits, Here's where you get into it, guys. And usually you can get rabbits for 20 bucks live. If you want to get papered ones, they're generally going to run you like $50, $60. And I'm going to tell you that in my personal opinion and experience, crossbreed rabbits is the best way to go. Every time we're rocking a pure breed anything, dudes, we have more trouble with them. It's just the truth. I think that livestock in general, what you really want is half breeds and you want heritage breeds. A horse. For some of you preppers out there, and possibly even some survivalists that are like out in the country or living at the edge of the country, you have the facilities, you don't have a horse right now, and you might want to jump on it. Just keep in mind that the feed costs are high for these animals month to month, unless you have enough pasture to keep them fed. But obviously horses are awesome. You can do a lot of things with them. Here's the thing I'm going to throw out there about horses though, guys. You need to spend time with them every day. If you're not regularly taking that horse and working with it and riding it, it's going to probably start to give you a hard time when you begin to do that. And the last thing you want to do is buy a horse, not spend the time with it, and the shit hits the fan, you go to get on it and it bucks you off and you break your neck in like the opening week of SHTF. Back to preppers again. A cellar is a great investment, dudes. It's a great investment, man. You can use it to hang meats. You can store root vegetables in it, canned goods, so they're not subjected to these frost and thaw cycles, you know, because you can't just leave your canned goods outside or out in some shed. You got to have them in a place where they're not going to be like freezing and thawing over and over again, because it will ruin them eventually. Not a huge, super expensive investment there. And a cellar can cost you about as much as you want it to cost you, especially if you're doing the work yourself. Just remember that you kind of have to build it like a retaining wall all the way around, because that dirt will push that thing inwards. I think you guys get the idea. And I think we can wrap the video, but this is just basically what tier 3 really is here's where I'm at right now. Let me look at my situation, take account of it all, and flesh it out so that you're going to be more successful making it through these hard times that are coming. That's it, pimps. Like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check out my Patreon link in the description. I have way more content on there than I have on YouTube or TikTok. And I'll see you guys in the next video, man. Get ready.